It's just about 10 to 8 on Morning News today. Welcome back. Now, have you been sneezing more than usual?
Yes.
Are you battling with congestion?
Yes.
Or a runny nose?
Yes.
Oh, shame, partner. Well, you're not alone, I'm telling you.
Thanks.
It's all because of the spring. That means it's allergy time with Paediatrician and Allergologist or Allergist.
Depending on which continent you live in.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Thulja Trikamjee in our Cape Town studio this morning. Dr. Trikamjee, a very good morning for joining us here as well. Thank you very much. Springtime, transition time, we always know it here as allergy time. Are we getting more of those nowadays than previously?
Yes, absolutely. We're getting a lot more purely because I think there's two reasons for that. Firstly, I think that allergies are increasing. The world is currently going through what we call an allergy epidemic. But also, as you know, especially with pollen and with environmental allergens, global warming and climate change has played a big role in that. So as the years progress, our temperatures are increasing. And when the temperatures increase, what happens is that our springtime and our pollen seasons are increasing more and more every year. So previously, you found that the pollen started to sprout around late August, early September, and we're finding in the last few decades with climate change that the pollen season is longer and longer, which is bad news for our patients because obviously they're suffering with their symptoms for a longer period of time.
Now, Doc, as you can see here, I need your help this morning, not sounding myself, and yes, the sneezing's been going on. So I suppose most people will be wondering, how do we treat this? What do we do? I mean, the last thing you want is to end up on an antibiotic, which is where it can lead. So how do you cut it off at the pass, if possible?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Yuveka. So, I think one of the most important messages about allergy and with the symptoms you have is that previously people thought that, once you got diagnosed with an allergy, you were told this is what you're allergic to and now you've got to stay away from it forever, amen. And, along with the rest of the medical field, allergy is also advanced so much. So we have so many options. The first thing, obviously, is checking what you're allergic to and what types of pollen you're allergic to. And as you know, then the environment that you're exposed to plays a big role. The city you live in plays a big role. The exposure that you get, whether you're allergic to indoor or outdoor allergens, plays a big role. And then we have a lot of therapy. So to decrease the inflammation in your nose, you can use lots of antihistamines, which people prescribe, which is an old modality, but we've got a lot of new ones which specifically target the type of allergies you have. And then if you're particularly really allergic to something, the great news, and this is in the last decade, is that you don't really have to live with it. You can actually now be desensitized to something. For example, if you're highly allergic to grass pollen, we now, and it's readily available in most South African settings, which is a good news, be completely desensitized by taking a course of what we call immunotherapy. So that's great news for people like you.
Okay, now allergy can really make people feel really down and bad. I mean, sometimes we say, it's just a sniffle and a snuffle, take an antihistamine and you will be fine. But it can make you feel very miserable, depressed, and maybe tired as well.
Yes, absolutely. So Dan, I often am faced with trying to explain this to patients and also to their employers and to school teachers, because studies have been done around the world and they've actually looked at what we call quality of life effects of something as simple as hay fever. And they found that school grades in children, only hay fever, so they have no other medical condition, not even chest issues, but just with allergies in their nose, with snottiness. It affects your sleep. So sleep studies show that, if your allergies in your nose are not at bay, you're not obviously going to sleep very well because you're going to be tossing and turning. People who suffer like Yuveka will know you need a tissue at night. You often wake up, you need to blow your nose, then your sleep is disturbed. So it affects your sleep. And when it affects your sleep, that is then going to affect your wakefulness during the day. And if you've got a job that requires high concentration, or if you're a child who requires to pay attention in class, it has a huge effect on that. So they treated children, I think it was done in the United States, properly for their allergies, just hay fever symptoms, and then checked their school grades, and all the children's school grades went up, which proved to the world once and for all how serious allergic rhinitis and hay fever is and what huge effects it has on your quality of life.
Thanks very much for that. Very informative. I'm feeling sleepy. Can I go home now?
Yeah, and you've been looking tired.
I
You
am.
didn't sleep.
Thanks.
Yeah, you talk to the boss. She can go home now.
I have
Thank
a doctor's note from Dr.
Yeah,
Trikamjee.
Dr. Trikamjee
Yeah.
gave you a note
Okay.
live on air. Thank you very much, Dr. Trikamjee, for that.